I just thought her dad was just strict. I'm Acadia Einstein, and this is Strangeful Things.
Sheltering in place is not advised, as your survival cannot be ensured in that scenario.
Love has practically caused me to just get you destroyed.
Unsolved, unresolved, and super complicated.
Strangeful Things.
Welcome back to Strangeful Things. I'm Acadia Einstein here with Shuey, and
Hello.
we're gonna. What's up, sir? How you doing? Hi. Well, this week we're talking about a real piece of shit, which is not super surprising, I guess.
Yeah.
Since the title of the episode has all three of his names in it, that's usually a good tell that the person's not going to be great.
Like more Paul Gosselaar.
Yes. Yes. I mean, according to a lot of the comedy bits I've heard over the years, the three-name thing is a big tell.
Well, yeah, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, compared to other world rulers at the time, he was pretty good.
Well, yeah. I guess it depends on who you ask, but at least he didn't straight up murder people directly. Like, don't come at me with your war is murder stuff, because that's not what I'm talking about. I mean, if you're going to compare FDR to John Wayne Gacy, Gacy is worse. It's not like FDR was rolling around the White House in his noisy-ass wicker wheelchairs, shanking people.
Yeah, but if he had, they would have just covered it up. So who knows? They covered up the fact that he was in a wheelchair, which is pretty fucked up when you think about it. Like, why did they have to hide his weakness? It's like he was president. He was commander-in-chief. It wasn't like he was going to have to beat Hitler at WrestleMania 3 or some crap.
That's fact. But now I'm wondering who the empirically toughest president was.
Oh.
Like, if you had a presidential Mortal Kombat tournament, who would win based on their condition on Inauguration Day?
Lincoln. Lincoln would have a huge size advantage, right? He was from a frontier state, so he probably did a lot of work with his hands when he was young. So he was probably strong as hell too.
He was the rail splitter.
Yeah, and he was a vampire hunter, from what I understand.
Rail splitter was also his porn name, but yes. Also though, Bush 43.
Oh, yeah.
He definitely had more athleticism than any other president in our lifetime anyway. Remember when he dodged that shoe in Iraq?
Yeah, that's right.
I'm betting every other president we've seen would have taken that shoe in the face, except maybe Obama. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen his defense.
But I do know that none of this has anything to do with the topic this week. Because
all right.
We are talking about a Franklin Delano, but it's Franklin Delano Floyd.
So he has three first names.
Who's named Delano?
If it's a middle name, doesn't it mean it's a first name? Rich people used to put last names as middle names.
Yeah, my brother's middle name is
Banana.
My mother's maiden name.
Oh, yeah, that thing.
I guess that was a thing.
I don't know. I guess.
Like Ferdinand Chompington III or whatever. So Franklin Delano Floyd had a trail of fucking weird-ass misery.
Oh.
And so Floyd, or FDF, I think I'm going to call him FDF because it sounds like a dangerous chemical. He was born on June 17th, 1943 in Bondsville, Georgia. According to the town's terrible website, the mayor is Peter L. Banks, who says Bondsville, quote, is a beautiful, vibrant community combining history with progressive leadership, unquote. And for some reason, they stopped posting the agendas of the city council meetings on the site in August of 2020. And they stopped posting the minutes in August of 2019. Fuck are they hiding? Maybe the fact that they are the birthplace of FDF.
You see, this is why it takes you so long to do the research, isn't it?
It's called journalism. Look it up, dummy. And I should have said earlier, like, I think now, after the feedback that we got from the Franklin expose, which I'm assuming the Pulitzer people are going to be calling us soon about.
I would expect something of an award.
I think it's probably wise of us to tell people if there's going to be molesty stuff right at the beginning.
Well, at this rate, you might as well tell them when there isn't going to be.
Well, that's fair. But in this case, there is molesty stuff. It's a molesty episode. So if you're sick of all the molesting, you might want to go back and listen to the Battle of Los Angeles. That is molestation free. I don't know why I picked that one, but whatever.
You mean the movie?
No. There was one season where I decided to make all of my episodes be in California.
Thing, right?
No, nobody cared. Anyway, not even people in California. I don't know. Anyway. So, FDF had 4 older siblings, and his parents were named Thomas and Della Floyd. Thomas was a drunk.
Who wasn't?
Probably because he had so many goddamn kids. And he died of liver failure when FDF was 1 year old.
Ugh.
Now, this was 100% the start of all the problems. I'm not saying that his childhood caused his later behavior, but I'm saying it didn't improve anything. So now Della was a widow with 5 kids. And while I assume she did her best to keep things, together, she ended up having to give her kids up because she couldn't take care of them on her own.
But I've always been told that the community would come together in cases like that, and that friends and neighbors would chip in to help because this is America, something.
Yeah, that, as you obviously know, is a big fat crock of shit. And it's even more of a crock of shit because this took place in the, quote, good old days when the government didn't run everything, and apparently the time everybody wants to go back to. And by everyone, I mean dum-dums.
Well, dum-dums are a pretty strong constituency these days.
Very true. But all that happened in those glorious days of yesteryear is that the government came and got Della's kids. I mean, I assume it was the government and not just some guy, pushing a wagon through the neighborhood.
Leave your kids here.
Yeah. But I guess it could have been either because one way or the other, they all ended up getting sent to the Georgia Baptist Children's Home.
That sounds nice.
Yes, it does, doesn't it? The old GBCH. I did a lot of digging, and I really tried to see if there was any scandal tied to the place. Like, I wasted a lot of time looking for scandals at the Georgia Baptist Children's Home. I couldn't find anything. It's even still in operation. It has locations across Georgia.
No.
Now, the one that the Floyd kids went to was in Hapeville, Georgia, but that location moved to Palmetto in 1968.
Famous hit comedian Jeff Foxworthy grew up in Hapeville. And in July of 2021, someone in Hapeville was breaking into some dude's Dodge Charger, and the dude whose car it was shot the robber in the fucking head. He didn't die, though. At least he hadn't as of the next day. I looked to see if the Fox 5 local news followed up on the story, and they hadn't, so who knows. But whatever. This show isn't What's Happening in Hapeville.
It's not.
It should be.
It should. That would be a bomb-ass show.
What's Happening in Hapeville?
It makes me think of You Heard with Heard. We're sticking with FDF. What's Happening in Hapeville will be another... we have so many projects.
There's so many places that can go.
Back to the Baptist Children's Home. I'm going to tell you some things that are credited to the book A Beautiful Child by Matt Burbeck. Now, the child in question was not Franklin Floyd, but rather someone else we'll meet later on in the story. Here's the weird part. The book is billed as true crime, and it's used as a source for a lot of people's takes on this case, but the fucking book says it's fiction.
You mean in the book, at the end, it's just like, psych, it's all fake.
No, it's worse. It's in the beginning. Just read what I put there. Read the pertinent chunk of the fucking copyright page of the book.
Okay. This is a work of fiction. Names, characters, places, and incidents either are the product of the author's imagination or are used fictitiously, and any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, business establishments, events, or locales is entirely coincidental. The publisher does not have any control over and does not assume any responsibility for author or third-party websites or their content. A beautiful book.
Third-party websites.
Yeah.
Why would the publisher be responsible for fucking 4chan? Like what? Just want to put that out there. All websites that are not ours have nothing to do with us. Like, I don't think you need to go out of your way to say that.
True. Well, how much integrity must you have as an author if people that publish your book don't even believe you? Now that's
Right.
weird. Like, we can still use it as a source, though, because I'm now going to say allegedly, which gives us a blanket of immunity from any and all criticism.
And lawsuits, I think.
Yes. And those
Just
two. Well,
I should go back and re-edit episode 1 to just say allegedly at the beginning.
everything we're about to say is allegedly true.
Right. So allegedly, FDF did not have the best time at the children's home. He was apparently considered too feminine, so he got ragged on for that. It's also been reported. You know, when you got to put in a bunch of words like has been reported and apparently and everything like that, like then you know. And this is I'm getting this from the book.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway.
Oof.
It also has been reported that some kids shoved a broomstick up his ass when he was 6. And honestly, for all the horrible things that we cover on this show, for some reason, putting things in holes that the holes were clearly not designed for might be the thing that freaks me out the most.
Well, that's really saying something since the repugnant shit we've done on this friggin' show. And you've been doing it a lot longer than I have.
That's true. And I guess on some level, so I know that putting a broomstick up my butt is not as bad as, say, stabbing me a new asshole where my belly button used to be. Like if you had to pick, but it still bothers me more. I mean,
yeah, I guess it's just something about being violated. Well, I guess, your
but
abdomen
even like
being
your ear.
violated with a knife is pretty.
Yeah, but that's what. Yeah, I mean, but I don't even just mean your sex holes. I mean like your ear or whatever. Like just
You just have an orifice issue.
head holes, all the holes. I guess we can analyze that on the Patreon sometime.
Yeah.
That's patreon.com/strangeful. Find out what I don't want to have put in me. Spoiler.
Yeah,
I don't want anything put in me.
Yeah, he says that.
I mean, there have been things put in me. I mean, I was in on it.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's if somebody said, well, how tough are you? Tough enough to keep people from putting something up my ass in a non-prison environment. I got you right when you were drinking.
Well, that's pretty tough.
Yeah, relatively. Like, now, that's not to say anything. It's not little Franklin's fault that he got the broom.
I would say
or
not.
that he got beat up. It might be his fault that he got in fights and stole shit. But the one thing that was new to me, because honestly, orphanages, no one ever goes to the orphanage and comes out smarter and better than they were when they went into the orphanage. You know what I mean? Like, there's never been a story like that. However, there was something new in this one, and it's what they did to Franklin when they caught him roughing up the suspect.
Yeah, that was not great. The kid is already probably embarrassed that someone caught him wanking it, but on top of that, it was the 50s, so he probably had to use like Collier's magazine or Life or something.
I personally assume that it was a discarded box of Betty Crocker brownie mix that had a headshot of Betty on it.
Oh, that is hot.
Because the pickings back then were probably pretty slim for a horny kid in a Baptist children's home. And I actually know how tough it was for people back then because...
Oh, tell us a true story.
This is legit, a true story.
I believe you.
When my parents got divorced, we went to live at my grandmother's. And that's the house that they had all, like my mother and her brothers and sister had all grown up in. Now, in the upstairs, I don't know if they still do this or whatever, but in the hallway, there were built-in, like the linen closet was built into the end of the hallway, and it had like a top part that you opened up with doors, and then it had drawers underneath it. But they just opened into the hallway, and there was another littler one in another part of the hallway. Well, for some fucking reason, I don't know why, I thought it would be a good idea to pull the drawer completely out of the little one.
Yeah. And you don't know why you did that?
I don't know why. Why
are you acting out?
I don't know. I genuinely don't remember why. But what I do remember is finding cutout pictures from like a catalog of ladies in bras.
Oh boy.
So
that sounds hot.
But there was like a stack of them, and I realized later, like after I grew up and whatever, that's what my uncles had to yank it to.
Right.
Were cut out pictures from of drawings. They weren't even photographs. They were drawings of ladies in bras.
Ooh, no. If you're going to draw it, why are you stopping at in bras?
Because it's a catalog. They're selling the bra.
Oh, that's right. That's all they have, though.
I mean, they're not. It wasn't a titwomper catalog.
Well,
that wasn't even
until I found stuff my stepdad had acquired. I'm trying to think of what the hell. Like, think about what we used. Scrambled cable signals.
True.
Like, is that true. Any better?
Well, I mean, no. Not at all. You know what's weird? Now that I think about it,
catalogs, I guess.
Okay. This just occurred to me. Here's a little tidbit. I don't know if this is a window into my upbringing or whatever, but now I remember once that my uncle brought my grandfather a big stack of Hustlers.
Really?
My grandfather was old. I mean, he was my grandfather. He was old.
Yeah, but that was awfully swell.
Yeah, but I don't know, Hustler is not the kind of thing you would kick back with.
It's not like Playboy. It's not like just something to they have a really good story here about
they didn't have really good anything. The only Kenny and I used to laugh about the Hustler had a contest. Every year they would take whoever the biggest ladies in TV were, like Wonder Woman, like Linda Carter and everything like that. And they'd be like, we'll give you $1 million to pose nude in our magazine.
Right.
But of course they had to be gross and say, showing pink the Hustler way.
Something like that.
But so $1 million in 1978
was a lot of money.
It's like $4.1 million now. Which, I mean, I don't know how much Linda Carter got for being Wonder Woman, but I bet she didn't get $1 million for the whole year.
No, not
I mean,
back
but this is
then.
ridiculous. They would never do it in 1,000,000 years. I mean, maybe now people will. I don't know. I just don't think the hustler way is the way that anybody wants to do anything.
Yeah, I don't think anybody really wants that. That's just doing porn at that point.
Yeah, it's not. You can't. Well, anyways.
Well,
My uncles were perverts. My grandfather was a pervert, I guess.
more than likely.
So I didn't have a chance.
Well, the point of all this whack-off talk was that when they caught FDF, they put his hand in a pot of boiling water as a punishment. Like, could it have been worse? I guess. Like, they could have put his dick in it, but the logistics of that, like, it must be a harness, like the Mission Impossible
Yeah, you
thing.
couldn't. Yeah, that's it. Like, how would you do that?
Yeah. Like, and I don't
Like,
care.
you couldn't. You'd have to hold him up, like, flat by his feet and his shoulders.
Yeah. And you'd have to have enough control over his belly because, if gravity's pulling my gut down, I honestly don't know how far down that goes.
Farther than your dick, probably.
I'm
So you'd
pretty
be
sure
safe.
of that. Yeah. Just
You'd be
cook
safe.
some belly fat off, and then I'll just scrape it off and be like, yeah, look at me. Well, the point is that even if you just dipped a little piecey in, that the part of you that's immersed in boiling water is boiled.
Yeah, they boiled him.
Oh,
They literally boiled a person. Like, because otherwise
hope
they
he
would have said
learned his
scalded.
lesson.
Like,
Yeah.
if they had said scalding water, then that's different. It's not really that much better. But since boiling is its own verb for a reason, yeah, that's a problem. It's a good transition out of the home because, I mean, what if you're going to hang around and stay at the place where they boiled your hand
Yeah.
like that? How do you know what I mean? Like, did the person that boiled his hand the next day go, hey, you want to go out and, have a catch or therapy or something? No, I'm just, like, the hand boiler just.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a terrible.
It's going to be a lot
we
of
need a mascot.
awkwardness.
We need a mascot. Hand boiler? No. Hamburglar. Much better. So, in 1959, when he was like 15 or 16, he was young anyway.
Right.
And that's a recurring theme through this part of the story. He was
Being young.
He ran away from the home and stole some food. Probably some Betty Crocker cake mix so that he could upcycle the box later.
Exactly.
So after he ran away, he got kicked out of the home, which whatever, because he ran away. So it seems like it would have been more of a punishment to make him stay in the place where they boiled his hand.
Yeah.
But instead they're like, you ran away? Well, fuck you, leave. Well, good, because that's what I was doing anyway.
Should love you.
Right. So they sent him to live with his older sister, Dorothy. And according to the true crime, maybe fiction book that we use as a source, Dorothy was living in South Carolina, married to a military man, and had 2 young sons. Dorothy agreed to the arrangement, and Franklin was released to the relief of the home staff. John C. Warr, the home's general manager, wrote that we have done our best for Franklin, but I do not think he has ever been really happy here. Well, if you boiled his hand, I'm going to think not.
It's gonna put a bad taste in my mouth.
Franklin stayed only a few weeks with Dorothy before her husband, who considered Franklin dangerous, kicked him out. He was taken in by Judge Purdy, a local domestic relations judge, for 5 months before leaving for Indianapolis, Indiana, in search of his mother.
So he lived with a judge, like an actual judge. The best thing to let a 15-year-old do was just go to Indiana by himself to find his mom. Like, again, this is the time people think was the good old days.
Well, first of all, stop mischaracterizing the good old days just by talking about things that actually happened in said
But
good
I
old
remember
days.
happy days.
That's unfair.
The Cunninghams were always happy.
Yeah, but that was in Milwaukee. That was different.
Oh, okay.
This is South Carolina.
Oh, yeah, that's different. All right, Judge.
I, Judge Purdy, after letting you stay at my house for 5 months, have pissed off my wife and gotten my Collier's magazine collection stolen. Therefore, by the power invested in me by apparently me, get the fuck out. Mrs. Purdy will make you a handkerchief with some Fig Newtons in it that you can use to start your hobo stick. You only get Fig Newtons because they cannot be twisted into being sexy by anyone, not even you. Also, you need to find your own stick. The court of me has determined that finding your own stick should be easy, as here in the great state of South Carolina, God has blessed us with a bounty of sticks from which you may choose. Now begone, child, who is much too young to do this thing that I'm allowing you to do. Begone and find your mother, who already fucking whiffed on raising you once.
Well, I hope Judge Purdy looked back on his decision and regretted it, but if I'm honest with myself, I bet he never regretted anything in his life. Well, I hope Judge Purdy looked back on his decision and regretted it. But if I'm being honest with myself, I bet he never regretted probably anything in his life. Well, might have thought on his deathbed that his wife could have stood a few more beatings.
Well, that's delightfully dark.
It's a dark world, man. Dark and full of judges that hit their wives.
Allegedly. It seems like we need a little evidence for that, but we'll save that for another time.
Evidence is for suckers.
Yeah, just we'll do an episode on judges that beat up their wives. But I mean, I bet you we could get a whole episode out of it.
Oh, sure.
Because everything is such garbage.
Because the world is shit.
Right? Okay, so Franklin, who up to this point is still sort of a sympathetic figure, which don't worry, we'll fix that. But for now, he's had kind of a rough go of it. He does end up making it to Indianapolis, and he finds his mother, who is a sex worker. Now, I'm not sure what kind of junior fucking gumshoe this kid was, but that seems crazy to me. Right. I looked it up. In 1959, the population of Indianapolis was 612,000 people. And if Franklin was the youngest of the kids, how the fuck would the mother even know what he looked like?
Yeah.
Or how would he know what she, like, it's, I mean, did she write? Like,
yeah, there had to be something that, because it's not like you could just, like, bring a dog with you and sniff some old panties or something.
I mean, you could, but they had nothing to do with the case.
It would never get you anywhere.
Another thing you might want to consider, this was 1959. Mike Pence was born in 1959. And he was born in Columbus, Indiana, which is only 45 minutes south of Indianapolis. So, did Mike Pence's dad get his dick sucked by Delano Floyd? Well, the odds Franklin, are higher than they are for either of our dads. So, that's technically true, right?
I guess.
I don't know. Is that how odds work? Yeah, no, because what our fathers go to Indianapolis for?
I don't know that mine ever did.
If they want to get their dick sucked, they didn't have to go that far. They didn't have to go
to New York City or something.
The largest landlocked city in America.
Home of the Indianapolis 500.
That's right. And anyway, Mike Pence is pretty fucked up.
Well, thanks for slowly getting that point across. Well, we need to rein in the Mike Pence stuff, not because he isn't fucked up, but because I agree with you on that. The odds that he would find his mom were pretty slim. But even slimmer than me were the odds that he would decide that his best move at that point would be to join the Army.
This is Franklin, not Mike Pence.
Yeah, not Mike.
Because Mike Pence was an infant.
Mike Pence was a baby.
In his defense, he was 0 years old.
For my country. I guess being your mom's pimp was not a good choice, and his mom must have agreed because she forged the papers for him so he could sign up.
Well, I mean, that's fine. But if he had stayed around and not necessarily been his mother's pimp, but at least stayed around while she was working, he could have grown up to be Rorschach from Watchmen.
Well, that's a fun guy, too.
Yeah, his mom was a sex worker right in front of him all the time.
Yep. Ugh, that's no better. Anyway, to bring the childhood of Franklin Delano Floyd in for a landing, he got kicked out of the Army after 6 months because they figured out he was too young. He went back to Indianapolis, but now his mother was gone. For some reason, he went to Philadelphia, tried New York, Miami, Atlanta, and then New Orleans. This kid's seen more of the freaking country than I have.
Right?
Just picture one of those maps with the dotted lines being drawn on it, like an adventurer moves, or like the family circus where it's like, not me. From there, he ended up in Englewood, California. And unlike anyone from Family Circus, Franklin's big idea there was to break into a Sears and steal a gun. Now, I'm sure that if there are any Sears still open now, I don't know that there are, they would love to be broken into because it would mean someone actually wanted something that was in a Sears.
Oh.
But back then, they didn't like it at all. And neither did the cops who responded to the burglar alarm that Franklin had set off. Now, one thing led to another, and Franklin must have found the guns because there was supposedly a shootout during which FDF was shot in the gut. He got surgery and lived and got sent to a youth institution in Preston, California, where he lived from June 1960 till August of 1961. Because despite all this shit associated to him, he was still only 17.
Jesus.
Now, according to the fictional nonfiction book A Beautiful Child, he was arrested on November 1st, 1961, for going fishing in Alaska with his friend. Apparently that violated his parole, so they stuck him somewhere for a psych evaluation over Christmas, and they let him out in January of 1962, I guess not finding anything. Now that May, he found himself back in Hapeville, this time as a man. A terrible, terrible man.
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 All right, so there's a few things to take out of that. Number one, the fucking kid got a lot done. Like who robs the Sears, gets shot in the guts, and then goes, you know what, Herbie? I think we ought to head up to Alaska and go fishing.
Go do some fishing.
Like, I mean,
there was nowhere else to fish between California and.
It also implies that he came back. Like,
yeah,
because it wasn't like the Alaska cops caught him. Because how the fuck would they know? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
and then after all of this, he gets all the way back to Hapeville again.
Back where he started. He got surgery. He got shot. He's 17. Robs a Sears. Has a burglar alarm. Has a shootout. Gets shot in the gut. They give him a psych eval. Apparently, they didn't ask him too many questions because I think when they would have got to, they boiled my hand, you'd pump the brakes a little bit on that.
I don't think they dug that deeply.
So I guess now that we're at this stage of Franklin's career, shall we say?
Demise.
Hey. Nature or nurture?
I think it's a combination normally, but I think his is all nurture.
Yeah, feels like it.
You know, like it's like you hate to say it with anybody. You just don't feel like they had a chance. Like
Yeah,
I'm
but I
sure
mean,
there are people who could have done better, but like you said, this guy was super resourceful. Like I said before, like he freaking traveled all over the country. He found his mom in a city of over 500,000 people in a time before the friggin' internet. Like he was obviously smart.
oh, it was a time before microfiche, I assume. But then again, Dorothy didn't, rob a Sears. She found herself a military man.
Yeah, that went well.
I mean, we don't know. He probably smacked her around. Because I just assume if it's, I don't know. When would you consider the cutoff of 90% of guys hit their wives from what year backwards? You know what I mean?
Like when do I think that shifted away from that?
Yeah, when did it become, I don't know, when did they start going, well, maybe we shouldn't hit our wives all the time?
I think it probably as late as like World War II. Like guys coming back from
go
that.
later than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's possible.
I mean, just Andy Capp started in 1957.
That's true. You wife-beating drunk.
That's exactly. Everything is garbage. All right, well, FDF got a job at the big airport in Atlanta in May of 1962.
Fulton County.
Yes.
Yeah,
Scottsdale Airport, right? That's the name. That's the actual name of the airport.
Yeah, I think so.
It's a big ass airport.
It's the biggest in the U.S. now.
And you got to take those fucking shuttle trains.
Takes forever. Oh,
man, that's a fucking complicated job, though.
But I bet it was a lot smaller back in 1962.
True, very true. Because they still had to do contact when they started the plane. Now he could have just been a nobody for the rest of his life, like us.
Right.
But he decided to, instead of the fucking, God damn it. All right, so this is a bowling alley story. And it is way worse than my own personal bowling alley story. And now I can probably never tell my bowling alley story because people will be like, shut up. Because at least you weren't a 4-year-old girl at the bowling alley who got stolen by Franklin Delano Floyd, brought into the woods and molested.
Well, were you?
No. But,
Wow.
and that is what happened. That is what he did. That was his, going from I'm going to rob a Sears to how about I snatch this 4-year-old out of the bowling alley was where he jumped to. Like, I don't know what the fuck happened in between that flip that switch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But that said, and to bring it back to me,
well, shouldn't everything be?
I'm willing to bet that what happened to me at the bowling alley was worse than anything that ever happened to you at a bowling alley.
You obviously want to tell your freaking bowling alley story, so just do it.
All right, so
look at the pause there. Wow, what a pause.
No, I'm itching. I don't know. Yeah. My brother will tweet me after this. Like once in a while, my brother will send me a DM on Twitter usually about shit that I got wrong about stuff that I remember. But this is true. There's a place called Pride's Corner in outside Portland. Like it's in Westbrook, which is next to Portland. And you know who grew up in Westbrook?
Who?
The people that invented the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So
really?
It's a fun little thing. Yep. So
they were heroes in a half shell.
Yes. There was a bowling alley, and upstairs there was also a drive-in. There's still a drive-in there.
That's cool.
Yeah, and we used to go, and we ended up talking to the guy that ran the snack bar. He's like, yeah, it's all paid for. It's been paid for like 15 years, we can just run it forever. Like, we don't pay much to get the movies and everything like that. Yeah, you know what I mean? It was just their family business. But anyway, the bowling alley had a mini golf place upstairs, which I don't know how that works, but whatever. And I was little, like little. My brother will probably know how little I was, so maybe we'll have to do a follow-up episode. But anyway, there were these big kids upstairs at the mini golf place, and they told me that in one of the holes in the mini golf course, there was I forget what the fuck they told me. The money or candy or something like that. So I went over to put my hand in it.
I'm sure they didn't say dicks.
Nope. It was big shit.
Oh.
Someone shit in the hole. And then told me, the little kid, to go stick my hand in it.
That's hilarious. Wow, they were fucking geniuses.
So then what did I do? I walked all the way back down. I don't know why my mother let me just go away. You know what I mean? Like this. Yeah. It was a different time. Yeah, but it was a different terrible time because well before that little girl got snatched out of the fucking bowling alley. Anyway, obviously my mother never heard that story because I went up, put my hand in the shit golf hole, came back down, showed my mother, and I got in trouble.
Yeah, you shouldn't have put your hand in there.
Well, what the fuck? I mean...
Listen, America's built on blaming the victim.
I was victim blamed for putting my hand in the golf shithole.
Yeah, for listening to shithead older kids.
Now, and that makes me think of something right now. So I just told you that story.
Yeah.
Somewhere, the kids that did that, are they proud? Do they tell that story?
I'll be like, oh, dude.
You know what I mean?
We once tricked this 6-year-old into putting his hand in shit. It was hilarious.
Like, that's just such a skid move. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's how you get generations of skids on top of each other.
I guess true.
And then they become salesmen, and then it's all.
All right, well, we all agree that while what happened to me was terrible,
it was gross.
What happened to the little girl in Hapeville was much, much worse.
Yeah.
Poor fucking kid. Floyd got caught, because of course he did. He was sentenced to 10 to 20 years in the Georgia State Prison. Now, I looked up the prison because I'm super good at researching.
Yeah.
I wanted to see if they executed a lot of people. And while they executed a fuck ton of people in Georgia in general, I wasn't about to fucking pick that shit out of pepper and figure out which ones were there or whatever. But instead, so while I was looking, I found the Google Places listing for the prison.
Huh. And
it said, hours, currently closed, opens at 9 a.m. on Saturday. Like, so I guess get ready for a big prison break on Saturday because
tomorrow.
Like, I kind of think
business.
That, like, who's going to go to the prison if you're not visiting someone in the prison or delivering? Like, what would you do at the prison, lawyers?
I guess
delivery people, like people that work there and stuff. But like visiting hours. The gift shop? I bet prisons have gift shops. Now that I think about it. I bet they do. Fuck them. All right. For FDF, I bet prison gift shop. San Quentin Prison has a gift shop. San Quentin Prison. It has a store where you can buy stuff that was made by people in the prison. So that's exciting. Richard Ramirez was there.
It'd be kind of cool if the money actually went to the inmates.
Yeah, but then what are they going to buy it on? Spend it on, rather.
Ramen.
Ramen.
Seriously. Have you seen what prison food looks like now? Look that up.
No, I never saw what prison food looked like before. I have nothing to compare to.
But before, it looked like food.
Oh.
That's the difference.
Well, at any point, at any rate,
At any
rate, for FDF, the state prison was temporary. They sent him to a place called the Milledgeville State Hospital to be evaluated again. This was on November 1st, 1962. And they kept him there for a while, because in March of 1963, they had to take him to an eye doctor appointment. Now, to me, it seems like if you have fucking hospital in your name, you should have an eye doctor kicking around somewhere. But whatever with that, Floyd fucking escaped, which was a miraculous feat considering that apparently he couldn't see so good.
I don't see so good.
Now, he stole a car.
How did this kid, man?
He drove to Macon, Georgia. He bought a pellet gun with money that I guess he was supposed to pay the eye doctor with. Like, I don't know how he got the money to buy the pellet gun.
Yeah.
But he did. Also, the gas to get to Macon. I don't know how far Macon is from wherever the prison is, but whatever. He got the pellet gun. Then he robbed a bank and got $6,800 with a pellet gun and poor eyesight.
Well, maybe he thought the gun was real since he couldn't see it anyway. And by the time he picked it up, he realized it was a pellet gun. But then it was too late.
The bullets I stole are useless now. I need. No wonder this was so inexpensive. Now I need pellets.
I don't think that the pellets are going to be the difference maker if you rob a bank with a pellet gun. Like, if the tellers find out it's not a real gun, you're just going to get your ass kicked.
Yeah, but those tellers would go home with some nasty welts.
Oh, I'd plick them.
Yeah, but your point is taken. And of course, since he was good at committing crimes, but terrible at getting away with them, he got caught the very same day.
Oh, God.
And he told the cops that he did, in fact, rob the bank. But he apparently thought that he had a reason good enough to convince them to let him go.
And he didn't?
Well, he said, well, you see, cops from a totally different town that don't know me at all, I need the money to hire a lawyer so I can appeal my child molesting conviction. So you see, obviously, I should be allowed to leave with the money.
This place Moe's. What kind of establishment was it? Don't tell him it was a bar. Don't tell him it was a bar. Don't tell him it was a pornography store. I was buying pornography. Well, that story did not disappoint. That's for sure. Oh my God.
Listen, you got to let me go. I need this money so that I can beat my child molesting rap.
Oh, you're a child molester? Here.
I mean, no, I'm not. That's my point. I need to appeal it. Lawyers are expensive. Also, did you notice it was just a pellet gun? So really, you should... It ain't armed robbery if the gun ain't loaded. All right, so he got sent to jail again on July 12th, 1963.
It's like no time is even passing.
No.
Like, it's only just a couple of years. It's
having terrible plans, committing crimes, getting caught, escaping, getting psych evaluations, then doing more crimes and getting put in jail again. He got put in jail for 15 years for robbing the bank, which again shows you how awesome things were back then, because apparently robbing a bank is worse than molesting a kid.
Oh, yeah. I don't think that's gotten any better.
Now, in between those two things on the how bad it is scale, there's another crime which, no joke, out of all the crimes we have ever talked about on this show, might be the dumbest.
Ooh.
Franklin Delano Floyd and a couple other guys hotwired the prison fire truck and then proceeded to crash it through the fence in a daring escape attempt.
So this prison had a fire truck, but the hospital didn't have an eye doctor. That makes perfect sense.
Well, the dumbness of this plan fascinates me. So you want to steal the prison fire truck and escape. Okay, so in the immortal words of DMX, what's going to be the outcome? Let's add up all the factors. Your ability to hotwire a fire truck is definitely in your favor.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that the only vehicle more conspicuous than a fire truck is the General fucking Lee has to be marked against you. Crashing through the fence instead of the gate seems like it was a bad idea, but honestly, that's a toss-up because I don't know which needs to be stronger, the fence or the gate.
I don't know.
Like, I mean, you'd think that if it was a castle, the walls are definitely stronger than a gate.
Right.
But usually...
Like, was it chain link around the outside?
Yeah, if it's chain link, then the fence and the gate are made out of the same stuff. So,
right.
Since the gate moves, you'd figure that you'd do the gate. Now, if you had made it out of the prison, Franklin, then you would have been driving at top speed down the street in a prison fire truck. Now, that's a point against you because A, everybody would be looking at it asking why their taxes paid for a prison fire truck. And B, if you are really the prison fire truck, you need to be at the prison, not away from the prison. So actually, that's 2 points against you.
Oh.
Now, if you had stolen a prison cop car, you could have told people you were chasing dangerous escaped prisoners.
In a prison outfit.
With the fire truck, you would have had to tell people that you were catching an escaped arsonist at best. That's like the best you could do. Damn firebug, we need to be prepared.
You never know. Like, I wonder how hard it was to hotwire a 60s prison fire truck. Like, this is why we need an after show and a big budget to film these kinds of things.
And an intern.
Well, yes, and an intern.
The intern would have been able to find out how many people got executed at that prison.
Right. But we don't have an intern or any of those other things. All we have is Franklin Delano Floyd. So, to cut this incredibly long story short, FDF was once again put back in jail. Well, this time prison. This time in Pennsylvania instead of Ohio. Now, he got raped a bunch in prison and didn't like it very much. He got on some roof at the prison, which seems unlikely, but he did it, and he threatened to jump. So they moved him to a different prison, this one in Illinois. And finally, in 1968, he got sent back home to the Georgia State Prison where he started. Which means we can get to the actual point of the story. Sort of. Now, this is a lot of lead up.
It's a lot of lead up. But unfortunately, everybody's going to have to wait until next week to find out what actually the point of the story is. Because as of right now, I mean, I'm sure there's a million stories like Franklin Delano Floyd's out there.
Yeah.
Who else hasn't, hotwired a prison fire truck and kidnapped poor innocent kids from bowling alleys and fucking bought pellet gun? Why would you? He went to Sears to steal a real gun, but he bought the pellet gun.
Yeah.
Did he learn from the Sears experience to say, well, yeah, you can't be robbing stores. I'll go to this bank. I'm sure that the security at the bank is much more lax than the fucking Jesus Christ. So,
all right.
Now I promise you, and I promise everybody listening, that as fucked up as this story has been, it is going to get so much weirder.
Oh, yeah, I got a sense you can tell it's just starting.
Yeah. But it's not like. I want to be clear. This is not the kind of thing where he ends up, like killing 400 people or anything like that. He does fucked up terrible shit, but it's weird. It's not.
Well, I don't think you need to kill 400 people to be fucked up.
Yeah, it's weird. Man, it's weird. That's all I got to say.
Real
weird. Don't forget to come back next week so that you can find out just how weird it was and what the quote at the beginning of the show meant. Because I never get called out. Like, very rarely do I ever explain the quote at the beginning of the show. It always has to do with the episode.
Right.
But it doesn't always come back around right away. It's like when they say the name of the movie in the movie. So, I guess that leaves us with nothing except you telling everybody where they can find us.
Well, you can find Acadia on Twitter at Acadia, on Instagram at Acadia Einstein, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Shoey Time, and you can also reach out to the show at StrangefulPod on Twitter or at Strangeful Things on Insta.
Yep. And we're actually going to post stuff on them too. Also, there's a Facebook page. You can go to that. You can go to the Patreon, which I mentioned earlier in the show. You can go to that. You can go to the YouTube. You know what? We've been sleeping on the YouTube.
All right. If you say so, boss.
We're not good enough yet on YouTube to have, like, we can't be youtube.com/strangeful. So it's like youtube.com/.
XY49.
But if you search for us, then you can find us. We have 169 subscribers right now. Nice.
What a sexy number.
But apparently, if we want to monetize ourselves, we have to have 1,000. So we're pretty far off.
We're practically there.
Now, you also have to have 4,000 public watch hours. But we actually have 611, which is way more than I bet you thought we'd have.
Okay.
You fucker. Why do you I like
what?
I try to be happy about one thing.
I can't have that.
And you take it away.
I can't have that. There's no joy in Flapsville.
All right, listen, everybody. You can find us on any of those things that we just said, or you can just come to the Discord and fuck around there. We don't care. Do whatever you want.
Yep.
And that's it.
And don't forget to keep on flapping.
Bye-bye.